John, can you remember the first broadcast you ever made?
I can indeed. It was in 1924 in a studio in Savoy Hill. I can, in fact, remember the actual announcement I was supposed to make, because I know I was supposed to say that the 2LO trio will now play L'Enfantine by Lardelle. I didn't say it. I don't know what I said, because the regular announcer, John Dodgson, was rolling about on the sofa with laughter, because I must have got it hopelessly muddled. It was in Savoy Hill on December the 11th, 1924.
A long, long time ago. Now, what kind of techniques, what kind of microphones were you using then? I mean, we're sitting here now, you with this microphone here in front of you, me with a tiny thing stuck in my tie here.
Yeah.
What were you using then?
It is known as the meat safe. It was on 4 mahogany legs. You wheeled it about the studio. It had a great blue silk, brass-bound blue silk cover about 2 feet long and about 1 foot wide. And you sat or stood in front of this thing. It had a whacking great magnet on it. If you got your watch near it, of course, it paralyzed the watch. And it had a horrible habit of squeaking as you wheeled it about the studio. The engineers used to come in sometimes with an oil can and squeak the wheels, oil the wheels so they didn't squeak. And of course, at that time, you want to play a gramophone record. You wound up by clockwork the gramophone with a horn on it, and you pushed this up to the microphone, and then you put on the gramophone record with a fibre needle, as it was then, or a steel needle, and played the gramophone records into the microphone.
But after that, of course, you saw fairly rapid progress, didn't you?
Yes.
I mean, what was the next kind of mic you used?
I think the next one, which was much more fun, was the Rice microphone, which was a sort of octagonal, rather like marble, with a black face to it. And this is a carbon microphone, as they call it. I don't know anything about technicalities at all, but all I know about the Rice microphone was that, being carbon, it used to pack, as they called it occasionally. And in the middle of a broadcast, suddenly a distortion would happen, and an engineer would come in and give it a smart kick or a smart smack to unpack the crystals, the carbon, so that it came normal again. And these were hung up in front of you.
We've been known to give our television monitors a sharp smack, I can tell you, even today. And after that,
After that, I think we came to the moving coil. And this was a sort of bronze-coloured, round, quite small, about 3 or 4 inches across. And this was a much more easier thing to use because it didn't pack. It was smaller, and at least it was a microphone that was directional, and you can in fact use it, but not by hand. They did in fact use 1 or 2 by hand, I think, eventually. But again, it had no protection from outside noises, so that at this time, every time you did a boxing match or a football match, you had to install a great green hut by a boxing ring, or at Twickenham. They were still built, and at Wimbledon and so on, you had to have these green huts to shut out the extra noise. And I remember in 1932, when we were doing the great New Zealand-England match, when Obolensky scored his famous tries, that the recording will show now the noise that came over the microphone by people who were hammering with their feet and sticks and so on, just above you. And all this hammering came through, and Teddy Wakelam doing the commentary was inaudible.
Well, using this kind of equipment, how on earth did you record the boat race?
Well, this was done... The first thing that happened was that when we first did the boat race in 1927, I was not concerned with that one. A listener wrote and suggested he knew exactly how we should do it. We should have a cable, which we would pay out. The letter is still in Broadcasting House. We should pay out a cable from a drum on a launch following the 2 crews, and that to keep constant connection between the microphone and the cable, which would be revolving, he suggested that a brass wheel should revolve in a bath of mercury.
Was this for your listener's name Heath Robinson, by any chance?
Almost that Heath Robinson, but it had to be pointed at him. To have a cable for 4 1/4 miles to carry the thing, we'd want a launch of about 250 tons. However, Kirk at that time, who was the head of the research department, did have what was laughingly known as a portable transmitter. And this involved a mass of batteries weighing about 100 weight and a small generator on board which would transmit the microphone signals to receiving stations posted over the course. And when I first did it in 1931, there was no communication, no two-way communication with the shore at all. All I would do was to set my watch by a telephone message to Broadcasting House on a stopwatch, and on the given moment, say 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever it was, I would go ahead. We had no knowledge on the launch as to whether it was going to be heard at all by anybody. It was, in fact, going out to the listener. We knew it was going out from the launch, but where it went to after that, we didn't know.
You were not aware whether anybody could hear you or not. There were no signals from the bank? Or
we got a signal from the bank as we got up to Harrods, just short of Hammersmith Bridge, when the receiving station was on the roof of Harrods, and an engineer would come out and he would wave a white handkerchief, which meant I'm getting you all right.
Did I hear you right that you said that was back in 1931 that you
Yes.
first did a boat race?
Yes.
What a long time ago. Can I just lean over and see if we can have a look at your tie? Do you mind? Because
Go ahead.
that looks to me like some kind of microphone, is it?
It is the rice microphone. It's a sort of symbol of the rice microphone, which is, I'm glad to say I'm rather proud of it. It's only allowed for people to wear it by those who worked in Savoy Hill before we moved to Broadcasting House.
You should be very proud indeed.
I am indeed.
John Snagg, thank you.